Welcome to the Jalen Show. That has been awesome to do for 3 years now. I can't believe it's 2023. And we have been doing this for 3 years now. This is the last and final episode of season three. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sticking with me for so long. Your support, your love, and your advice as well has been so meaningful to me as we've gone along in this journey. And you're going to be hearing a lot of news from me in the coming days after this episode gets dropped. So just be prepared and just stay noticed. But I want to say thank you for so much. And you'll hear a lot more from me later on. But just thank you. And I hope you guys are enjoying what I do as much as I put into this. I hope you guys just enjoying every episode and learning a lot and laughing a lot. So without further ado, please introduce our guest for the final episode of season number three, Coach Jalen Powell. I want to say, Coach, first off, thank you for coming on. And how's everything in life treating you right now? How is the new year going for you so far?
Well, thank you for having me. And I would say the new year has been good. Um, Obviously, we're still in basketball season. I am an assistant coach at Ohio State for the women's basketball team. So far, so good going into the new year. Um, we'll have a stretch here soon with the rest of this month and then February. Well, this is February now. I keep thinking it's January, but the end of January, February going into March. So um, it's going to be tough. The Big Ten is probably the best conference in the country
Mm-hmm.
as far as women's basketball. So I'm just looking forward to it, looking forward to seeing what this month brings.
Coach, I always love for my guests to give a brief introduction to people watching, listening, so they can get comfortable and just a little bit of information before we get into everything about who you are. So, could you tell everyone like where you're from? You already told us what you do now, but just some things that you've been able to do to help you get where you are today in life.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm from Long Island, New York originally, specifically North Babylon, Long Island. Um, I played basketball in high school. I actually didn't play in college. I was a manager for 4 years at Ole Miss during the Insell era, so before Coach Yo. And then after I completed and graduated from Ole Miss, I went on to be a graduate assistant for Coach Mike Neighbors, who's at Arkansas. So I was there his first 2 years. And then after that, I was able to be an assistant coach at Florida A&M for a year. And then after Florida A&M, I came to Ohio State.
I was particularly excited that I got to hear back from you, and because we have so much in common. First of all, everyone that gets on, we love sports. That's the number one thing. But as everyone knows, I attend Ole Miss. I'm from Arkansas, so just those two things from her already they stood out to me. And I feel like she has so many stories to share. But I want you to start Long Island, man. What was it like growing up in New York, and what were some of the things that you learned growing up in Long Island that maybe you still use today to help you in your everyday life?
Um, so I would say growing up in Long Island or growing up in New York, period, um, it's a blessing, but it can also be a curse because you're used to being around so many different people. So you're mingling with people from all different shades of life. But when I went on to college at Ole Miss, it was kind of a culture shock for me. I wasn't used to just doing everything one way or just being around a major majority of one style of people. So when I say like being from New York is a blessing and a curse, it's a blessing because I was able to at a young age um, be in an environment that will teach me that there's different walks of life, there's different types of people, there's different religions, there's different beliefs. But it was a curse for me because when I came to the South, I realized that New York is a small, special space, that the rest of America is not like that.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. And I mean, when I came to Ole Miss, I know we're talking about Long Island, but when I came to Ole Miss, um, I ended up meeting some of my longtime buddies who I'm still friends with today. I ended up learning a lot of different things, and especially it being a Black female in sports, I learned a lot of different ways to adapt and just being able to navigate certain situations that I may not have learned in New York because you're not going to face that challenge because everyone kind of is treated equally. in a sense. But coming down south as a whole, it gave me a lot of different outlooks of life.
Coach, something that I advocate so much is family and how much my family means to me and how much they are my backbone. Talk about your parents, your family, and how much they have helped you get where you are today, and also what have they put, what did they put in your minds and maybe at a young age to help you develop to the woman that you are today as well.
So my parents, both my mom and my dad, have both been very supportive in my journey to becoming a collegiate level coach. I'm very close with my mother. I have two sisters. I have an older sister. Her name is Tiffany, and I have a younger sister named Sabrina. So our family is very close knit. Whenever I am home, we spend a lot of time together. Even when I'm not there, they spend a lot of time together amongst themselves. But I will say the main thing that my parents instilled in me at a young age is that if there's something I want in life, I have to work hard at it and fight for it. Nothing is given to you. Nothing's ever going to be easy. And if it is easy, there's going to be a next level that you have to achieve that's not going to be easy. So working hard and being disciplined are two things that I really stand by. And discipline was obviously in place for me as an athlete, but it's also a tool that I carry into my everyday life. So I'm very strict on my schedule. Like I have a morning routine, just the way I go about my day and the way I do certain things, like is all based around discipline. So those would be the two main things I would say.
I love that response. You talked about earlier that you played basketball in high school. Did you ever play any other sports in high school or even leading up to high school? And why did basketball become such a specific point and interest in your life? What made basketball stand out for you?
So in middle school, I played field hockey a little bit, which I actually liked and I was actually pretty good at. I played a little bit of lacrosse, but we're a basketball family.
Hmm.
My dad's really into basketball. My dad's actually an NBA trainer.
Hmm.
He's been training pros for the past 20 years, like Kevin Durant, Rajon Rondo. The one he works out the most right now is Kyle Kuzma, who plays on DC. So basketball was something that we kind of got born into as a
Yeah.
family, and his passion and his love for the game became mine. So I kind of gravitated towards that as my main sport. But once I got older, I realized I didn't want to play in college. At that time, when I was looking, I was in my junior, senior year of high school looking to play in college, I was like, well, if I do play in college, I'm going to be doing all this to hopefully go to the league, which then was way more scarce than what
Yeah.
it is now, to make the same amount of money I could make as a teacher.
Hmm.
So I was like, well, if I still want to be involved in the game, it doesn't necessarily have to be as a pro, it could be as a coach. So then that's when I kind of shifted my mind to start thinking about what I would need to do and what steps I would have to take in order to be a coach.
In high school, Um, I know you have those moments where you're still trying to figure out what you truly want to do, and
Hmm.
you also have a kind of an idea of what you want to do. What when did that? I know you just talked about it, but when did that idea turn that just like no, I don't want to play afterwards, but I still want to be involved within the game of basketball because it's something I love, but it may not be something that I really want to play in terms of a future.
I would say probably like my junior, senior year. Like I played my whole high school
Hmm.
uh, career, but once I hit my junior, senior year, um, I was getting recruited by Bucknell. I was getting recruited by IUPUI. I had a few interests from University of North Carolina, but it wasn't anything that was like set in stone for me. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't like, hey, we're offering you a scholarship. It was more like, hey, we're talking to you to see what their class ends up like. I mean, hell, I don't know. But it was just like I just felt like that wasn't my purpose. Like that wasn't meant for me. So I just found another way to still stay attached to the game. So I started thinking about possibly being a coach.
How did your journey from Long Island, New York, allow you to end up in Little Oxford, Mississippi? What went into that thought process, and how did you get there?
So Coach Matt Insell at the time was the head coach. And he had built a good relationship with my dad because my AAU team was the best AAU team out of New York City, and my dad trained a lot of us.
Yeah.
So at that time, college coaches would reach out to my dad to talk to them about athletes. But it was kind of always, and my best friend at the time was also getting recruited by him when he was at Kentucky. So whenever we were together, like he would call and like we would just talk. Like I would just be like, "What's up, coach?" Like nothing crazy. But you know, I guess it was just a known thing after a while that I didn't want to play, that I wanted to get into coaching. So when he got his job, he called my dad and basically was like, "Hey, like, I'll have a new staff. Like, he's about to get this job at Ole Miss. Um, would your daughter want to come and be a manager since she wants to coach?" So that's how I got into Ole Miss. I was fortunate enough because he gave me a full scholarship, so I didn't pay. So I was on the same scholarship as the athletes, but just the manager. But that was the transition piece that essentially changed my life and gave me a chance to now do what I do.
That's awesome. That really is, and I love that story because we see a lot of times the hard parts of trying to figure out where you want to go to school. You know, if it's gonna be this place, but you kind of got that place kind of figured out, and you found a settlement and a home really quick and a good family around you. So I love that for you.
Yeah.
I would love for you. Do you mind giving a piece of advice? Many people watch these, but I also like to send and direct these towards certain people when I interview people. Could you give a piece of advice to a high school girl, a college girl, even as well, about helping them get to the next level in terms of basketball or even coaching? What advice would you give them to elevate where they are in their life right now in basketball?
Um, well, the piece of advice I would give, I would necessarily not even just pertain it to coaching or basketball. I would just pertain it to life as a whole, and that is life is a process. I think sometimes as people, we get so wrapped up in I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. What's my next step from A to D instead of A, B, C, D? So whatever that looks like, if you're in high school and you're trying to get to college basketball, um, okay, you may need to get a better shot, jump shot. You may need to be better on defense. You may need to be a better team player. You may need to, develop better ball handling skills. That's not all going to happen overnight. You have to put a plan in place, a process in place to achieve every one of those things and know that some days are going to be easier and some days are going to be harder, but that's just how the process works. There's a process to everything. Um, whether it's basketball, whether you're an artist, whether you like to sing, like people don't just wake up and are Kobe Bryant. Like that's just not the realistic part of life. So if you're not ready to embody the ups and downs of the process, then you need to re-ask yourself if that's really what you want to do.
Thank you for sharing that. And it's always so important for me because I say this: you have experienced these things. You have lived out the what it takes to get to these levels, stay at this level, and grow in that level. And I love for people that are younger and are trying to experience and learn more to listen to things like that because these are people that experience and have learned and lived through it. So I appreciate that, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Um, was the transition for you hard from leaving high school to college in terms of, just being on your own kind of now and you're not being around parents and being from a whole different area now moving to the South? Was it hard for you or was it an easy transition?
No, it was hard. I hated it the first 2 weeks. I love it now. Like if I was
Hmm.
to go back and visit, I'd be happy to.
Hmm.
I haven't had the chance to in a few years, but I would love to be able to. I know a few of my other manager buddies that were managers with me at that time. Um, they said like my name is on the Walk of Champions
Hmm.
from my year, so I would love to come and see that. But Yeah, no, it was hard. I'm used to where I live, I'm able to go downstairs and go across the street and there's a deli.
Mm-hmm.
Or like you could go get something to eat. When I went to Oxford, and
Yeah.
I'm sure Oxford now is way better. I hope it is. But yeah, it was none of that. It was hard to maneuver without a car. Like in New
Yeah.
York, you could survive without a car.
Yeah.
Like you don't need a car really. You're actually doing yourself a disservice if you have a car because where you gonna park?
Mm-hmm.
You ain't gonna park nowhere. But so there was like lot of little things like that that it was a hard adjustment. Like things that I was used to having easy access to. It was like, who am I gonna ask to give me a ride? Okay, now I gotta give them gas money, but do I really need to go?
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. Stuff like that.
Was there like a number one food spot for you back home in Long Island? Like, is there one place like if someone's touring you and they're asking you for like a place to go, like what's the number one food spot you would give them to go to?
Um, right now, well, pizza's always good. No matter where
Mm-hmm.
you are in New York, pizza's always good. Bagels are always good. But right now, my favorite restaurant back at home is this Japanese place called Takumi.
Okay.
So I really love hibachi. I don't know if Toyo's still there. Y'all still have Toyo?
Yeah, we do. Uh huh.
You go there for the lunch special?
I haven't, but I'm aware of
That,
where.
that was my jam. I
Okay.
used to go there for lunch because you get the same amount of food for cheaper.
Okay, I gotta check that out then.
That I used to love Toyo. They used to have Coupe de Ville back in the day, but then they shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
I used to love, I don't know if the Mexican spot's still there. What's the Mexican spot that's like in the
You're asking the wrong person about Mexican
No,
food.
it's right on West Jackson. You gotta pass it.
I
It's
know
in
what I don't know what it's called, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got like mug shots and
Yeah.
buffalo.
Uh huh. I know
Yeah,
what you're talking
that's
about. It's still
really
there.
good. Um, and I used to eat a few places on the square, but those were my course. Do you guys still have Gus's fried chicken?
For sure.
Yeah, that's
Gus
one of
is
my
fire.
favorites too.
Coach, um, what did you first think of being a manager, being a student in the South when you first got here? Like, what was your day-to-day schedule like when you were here at Ole Miss? Like, when did you get up? When did you have practices? When you have classes? Like, what was a day in the life for you?
Uh, it wasn't easy. I will say that. I think a lot of Well, first off, being transitioning from a player to a manager was hard the first semester because it's like you're used to being a player, like you're used to having people do things for you, but now I'm the one doing things for them. So that was kind of just like a transition within itself. But being a manager is a lot of hard work. Um, my days typically started at 6 a.m. because I would go to the practice facility, well, the TUI Center, I guess it's called now, and we would do laundry, make sure everyone had loops for lift, make sure everyone had loops for practice, go to class, eat, come back, wash the loops from weights, make sure everyone was good from practice, be in practice. After practice over, watch the like it was just constant. Wash the loops. Then you're packing for games. You're basically just taking care of the day-to-day logistical stuff. And it could become a lot because essentially, I mean, you're responsible for 14 to 15 jerseys, making sure they get from point A to B. We used to bring extra shoes for people in case like someone's shoes popped or shoes laces broke. Um, it was just a lot of different things. I would help with the food orders, I would help with the travel, a lot of different areas. But I will say it was a lot of hard work, but it gave me a lot of experience. And a lot of the things I did do as a manager helped me to be able to move on to the next steps.
I have a question that when you were talking, it just popped in my mind. You may not have an answer to it, but if you weren't coaching basketball, what would be the next step for you? Like, what would you be doing if you weren't coaching basketball? If there is an answer.
I would probably be designing clothes. I sew. So I sew a lot of my own stuff, like make my own clothes
Okay.
when I have free time, mainly in the summer,
How long have you been sewing?
for like 8 years,
Okay.
for a while. Nothing crazy. I don't do too much. I know the basics, but I could do the basics.
Okay, I like that. I like that. It's very unique. What were some of the things that you learned as a manager that you kind of prep for in your head that like maybe I can start using these things to help develop the girls that maybe other people weren't seeing?
Um, I tell people all the time, always respect the janitor because you never know when the janitor will become the CEO.
Wow,
That's
I like
just how
that.
I mean, I've been at the bottom. I'm not at the top, but I'm way further than what I was. And you just remember who was good to you when you were low, and you also remember who was bad to you. And I don't mean bad in like a super negative way, but people have different tones when they talk to different people with different
Mm-hmm.
titles. Um, but yeah, that's the main thing, and that's the thing I tell my players now. Like, make sure you say hello to everyone. Make sure you always tell everyone thank you because no one owes you anything. So,
That is one of the most powerful quotes I've probably ever heard. I really like that. Where
I,
did
I
that?
heard it from somebody. I didn't make it up, but I'm not going to take credit for that. But
I
yeah,
love
I mean,
that.
ever since I've heard it, it stuck with me.
I love that. When you are coming to the end of your chapter here at Ole Miss and you're getting ready to graduate, what are your thoughts about the future? What do you think is going to happen for you after you get out of Oxford?
I was doing a few interviews
Mm-hmm.
to get GA jobs, and they didn't work out right away.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up going home that summer, and I lifeguard. I used to be a lifeguard. So I basically had nothing lined up, and then Coach Todd at the time, who was an assistant at Ole Miss with me, he had moved on and went to be an assistant at the University of Washington with Coach Neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
And then Coach Neighbors got hired at Arkansas and they needed a GA. So Coach Todd called me. And then I went to go be a GA at Arkansas.
Um, talk about Fayetteville, and I say this because Arkansas is home for me. I love Coach Neighbors. I love that place. I love Arkansas. And many people ask, "Oh, why'd you go to Ole Miss?" But I love Arkansas, and I love that environment. And again, Coach Neighbors is one of the best people I've ever met. What was that transition like for you? And what was the difference in roles that you had when you were at Ole Miss and then once you got to Fayetteville?
Whereas like being a manager was more like laundry, water,
Hmm.
uh, I helped with like logistics, like, okay, what do you want to eat? Like that type of stuff. Like
Yeah.
being a GA kind of pushed you more into like the basketball part. So I would help with workouts a little bit. Like I would help rebound or guard or do whatever I had to do. But in those moments, you're still learning. I would help with recruiting. I would help with social media, stuff like that. But I loved Arkansas. I love that staff. I'm still really good friends with that staff to
Hmm.
this day. Um, I mean, they gave me an opportunity too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, going to Fayetteville, you would never expect Fayetteville to be what it is, but
Hmm.
Fayetteville is a city.
Yeah, it is.
It is. It's pretty big. So I mean, I enjoyed my time there. Our first year, we were pretty good. Our second year, we ended up beating South Carolina that year to go to the SEC championship in the SEC tournament. So that was cool. Um, but no, I loved my time there. I loved Coach Neighbors. I mean, I still, like I said, I still talk to them to this day. They've taught me so much. Um, but it was a great experience as far as being a graduate assistant.
You, of course, at Ohio State now. Ole Miss, Arkansas, FAMU. What, if any, differences have been in terms of the coaches you've been around and the just the environment around women's basketball? What have some of the differences been between the environment and the coaching styles and staff that you've been a part of for the different programs you've been at?
Um, as far as coaching styles, I would say, well, Coach Neighbors used to work for Coach McGuff, my coach now.
Hmm.
So when Coach McGuff was the head coach at Washington, Coach Neighbors was his assistant, and then Coach McGuff came to Ohio State, and Coach Neighbors took Washington. So
Hmm.
they're similar coaching styles. Honestly, Ole Miss was so long ago, I can't even tell you what that coaching style was. But I would say at my most recent years, like those were the most similar. So we run similar offenses in that sense.
What are some of the things that you've learned, and not about basketball, but about yourself in the years that you've transitioned from Arkansas, Florida, and now Ohio State? What are some of the things that have brought you kind of a light bulb above your head about yourself?
Um, it's easy to be a young coach sometimes, and then you look at people that you're either coaching with or coaching against, and they've been in the game for like 20 years, right? Like their resume is extensive. So it's easy to get discouraged and to be like, well, I'll never be able to do I'm trying to think of an example. I'll never be able to do a whole defensive breakdown. I'll never be able to do a whole offensive breakdown. I'll never be able to like articulate some of the things that I see in the game that I feel like we should go over in practice. Just little things like that. But um I've realized that it's a process. Like this is only technically my second year in collegiate coaching. I can't expect to, do everything right if I haven't experienced everything yet.
Yeah.
So I think that's the main thing that I just tell myself, like I said before, like I'm really big on the process.
You were given the full chance at FAMU to be an assistant coach now. What what did that mean to you? Going through the process of being a manager, a graduate assistant, and now being a coach. What did that mean to you, and how much work that you feel you had to put in even more now to continue being where you were at?
It meant a lot to me. Coach Pillow gave me my first shot as being an assistant coach, so I'm always grateful for her. Um, but it just meant I just had to work harder. But when I went to FAMU, it was COVID, so we
Hmm.
didn't have a season. So I technically didn't coach a game until I came to Ohio State because we didn't have a whole season. So that's how that went. It was a little bit different because we didn't have games. We were just working out,
Yeah.
making sure they were staying right academically. But um, that following summer was when I left to come to Ohio State.
Something that I've always talked about is just my love for women's college basketball. Man, I love what you and everyone around the country does. Man, it's so fun to watch uh, just young women play the college basketball. Man, there's so much energy and love for it now, like I've never seen it before, and it's such a fun game to watch. Um, Talk about what it's been like at Ohio State so far, man. Yeah, you guys are going off the rails right now. You guys are doing so well, and I feel like, and I mean this truthfully, and people can see this if you watch the games. Just as much passion and energy from fans is being put into girls' games now as much as the men's side. What's it like being in that environment at that big of a program and just living out your dream, playing and coaching and some amazing young women?
Um, Ohio State has been great. I'm super, super grateful for Coach McGuff taking a true chance on a 26-year-old kid who
Hmm.
never coached a collegiate game. Like, if you think about that, that's crazy. But it just goes to show what type of person he is.
Hmm.
And it also goes to show that he believed in my capabilities of what I can do, and do my part for this program. Um, it's just been amazing to be here, to be on a great staff. I mean, I'm surrounded by great people every day. I joke around all the time. Coach Carla, who's our associate head coach, I tell her that we're a package deal because if there's any coach in the country where I would want to be like, it's her.
Hmm.
Um, she's a black female. She's a mom. She's powerful. Um, she's just the glue to our team, and she does so many things for us, from preparation to player development to anything you could think of. She's a part of it. She's been a great mentor for me and a great friend. So it's been great to build a relationship with her and to learn under her. So that has been a blessing for me. The team is great. We have so many weapons, so many, different players that could do so many different things that are so versatile. And the fans have been great. We've been working really, really hard as far as marketing and just pushing our kids out in social media and not just showing them as players, but showing them as people and their personality too. And I think that's what's been the key. to getting people attracted to come to our games because, hey, they may know Cody McMahon as the basketball player, but if you look at our social media platform, you probably know her a little bit more as a person, and you may know that she's
Yeah,
actually a really good singer.
yeah.
Um, I tell them all the time, basketball is what you do, it's not who you are. So we try to broadcast that to our fans as much as possible, and in return, they show up for us when we have home games.
Have there been any differences in your eyes in terms of each school that you've been in terms of how the game is played? Maybe like it was faster at Ole Miss, and maybe you guys play more passive at Arkansas, and now maybe at Ohio State you're more aggressive on defense. Like, have there been any major differences in terms of the games at all the schools that you've been in, and how the players and how practices run?
Um, no, not really. Like I said before, like Nabes has worked under McGuff, so they share
Hmm.
a lot of similar concepts and a lot of similar vocab, like as far as what we use to define certain things. But I will just say now, as a whole, the women's game is just played at a faster pace,
Yeah.
period. From not just at our school, but at any school. Like if you look at the games now, like the pace of the game is just way faster than what it's ever been.
Um, I'm sure I know your answer, but if a head coaching job ever came available, would you take it?
Like right now,
No, not right now, but just in the near future.
I don't know. I don't know. I get to ask that question a lot,
Hmm.
and I just focus on the task at hand. I don't think too much about the future. I don't have no husband. I don't have kids. I don't
Hmm.
have a dog, so I don't have to think about
Yeah.
anyone else's
Uh-huh.
opinion on what I do. Um, but right now, I'm just focused on being a really good assistant. So that's where I stand. I want to make sure I'm the best version of myself for my players. And I mean, if 10 years comes later and something comes up and it's like, do you want to be a head coach? And I feel like I'm ready, then yeah, I'll think about it. But right now, I just want to be the best assistant I could be.
What goes, and this is kind of the schedule question for you now. What goes into your schedule to help prepare yourself for practices and games? How much time do you spend watching film, getting ready for practice? Like, what's your how do you prepare to elevate your girls every single day?
Um, well, we go over practice and what we want to do to in practice as a staff, which I think is great that Coach McGuffs gives everyone a voice. And I would also say he gives everyone a voice as far as preparation. We do our scouts a little differently. So I'm over player personnel. Carla's our defensive coordinator, and Coach West is our offensive coordinator. So we kind of have each have a part in the scout. We each do our presentations. So that way the kids could hear from all of us. And if they have a specific question, they know who to go to. So that's how that works. But I spend a decent amount of time watching film. I mean, I probably watch film every day, whether it's us or an opponent. Um, but those would be I feel like with my preparation outside of that, um, I do a lot of just like talking to my kids, just getting a pulse on how they're feeling. Not even just about basketball, but just life. I think sometimes when a player knows that you or the staff cares about them, they play harder. So that's goes into preparation because if you're not checking on them, like there has to be a give to a take there.
Um, I know you talked about Coach McGuff a lot. Have there been any mentors, um, major idols, major mentors that have played very significant roles in helping you get to where you are today? And they can also be people that you maybe even never met. They just motivate you from a far away stance as well.
Coach Carla.
Hmm.
I'll say it again. I know I
Hmm.
talked about her already, but she's just great. And I just feel like you have to she's gonna bring it every day.
Yeah.
So you kind of in your own way, like, are like, all right, well, I know Carla's gonna bring it, so I gotta bring it. Like I gotta be on my shit today. Cause I know
Hmm.
she gonna be on her shit, and if we both not on our shit, it's not gonna be good.
Yeah.
So I always make sure, and it's not like, I'm not trying to be Carla. I'm not trying to do what she does, but she does motivate me every day to be my best self. And I think
Yeah.
that that's powerful within a leader. Coach McGuff is just great because he'll let you work. Like there's no micromanaging. Like if you have an idea or you feel like there's something you want to talk to him about, he's always an opening ear. And if he doesn't agree, he'll tell you how he wants it done. It's never anything crazy, but um yeah, he's a great boss to work for. Like I said, I have a great staff of people that I work with every day. So I'm just grateful.
One of my favorite questions that I get to ask is people's music taste. I'm very big in different genres of music. I would love to know what's some of your music like. Like, what do you listen to? Some of your favorite artists, and even on the game day, because I feel like coaches and athletes they have a different thing they listen to on game day than what they regularly listen to. Is your game day playlist different than your like regular everyday playlist?
Yes, I listen to Queen.
Okay. Oh yeah.
I like a lot of their songs. I listen to 90s R&B. I listen to, I guess they call it trap music. Is that what they
Yeah.
call it? I listen to, do you know who Florence and the Machine is?
Mm-mm, you got me with that one.
I listen to her. She's great. Her voice is amazing.
You put me
Uh,
on.
yeah, I listen to all different types. I just don't do country.
Why do y'all always say that? What's wrong with country? Every single person, every single time, y'all always say I listen to almost everything, but I
I
just don't
don't,
listen to country. Come on, y'all.
I don't do country. No, sir. I'm sorry.
Y'all hurt my little heart with those, but I respect it. You just put me on a new artist, so I'm gonna check her out. I have another interesting question. If you could have for dinner with three people, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
Dead or alive?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would want Mark Few there, head
Right
coach at
on.
Gonzaga. I love him. I mean, I know I went to Ole Miss, but I'm a big Gonzaga men's basketball fan.
Mm-hmm.
Been since I was a kid. Adam Morrison's my favorite player ever.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I would put Kobe,
Yeah.
and I get one more.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. I would say my grandmother. She passed a while when I was a kid, so I would want my grandmother there. Those three.
Every answer for those is dynamic, and I always say it kind of brings a sense of revolving around who the person that is saying that. So I feel like those are three people that have touched you or motivated you or made you laugh in some way. And so I feel like those three people are always important to you. So thank you for sharing that. Um, this may be a too big of a broad question, but do you have an end goal? Like, do you have something that you have to just do? Like, do you have an end goal for your career?
No, I don't. Um, I would just say I would want. Well, I take that back. My end goal, I guess you would say, is impacting the youth.
Hmm.
So whether I'm an assistant coach for however many years, or if I go on to be a head coach, or whatever the course takes me, um, all the young women that I come across, I hope I impact them in a positive way, and I hope that they know that they could always reach out to me as a resource for whatever it is that they want. So I would say that would be my end goal.
I want to ask you, and it's two questions in one. You've kind of made big points about one of them already, and I know you're probably gonna reiterate it, and it's okay. But what's one big piece of advice you would give to anyone listening? Not about, it doesn't have to be about basketball, but just one piece of advice you would want to give anyone that just want to come and listen to hear you and hear your journey. What's one piece of advice you would give them? And also, what legacy do you want to leave behind? What do you want people to always remember about Jalen Powell, forever and always, no matter what?
Um, as far as advice goes, I would say that um like I said earlier, I'm really big on the process and realizing that there are going to be ups and downs in life, but just because you're down doesn't mean that's where you'll stay. There's a process to everything. And whenever you're down, you can only go back up. Um, and a legacy I would like to leave for people to always remember is to work hard, listen to others, and not everything is always, listening and communicating is a two-way.
Yeah.
I can't, I can't communicate with you if I don't listen to you first.
Yeah.
So work hard, listening and communicating is a two-way, system. And love everyone. You just never know what people are going through. So I know personally, I always make sure I treat everyone the same. I always make sure I'm super kind. I mean, someone you could come across somebody one day and they just having the worst day, and that's the day you decide to be an asshole and you just shatter their whole vibe. So I would hate to be that person. So I just make sure I'm always nice to everyone and I'm always kind. So those would be my three things. That I would want people to take with them.
I don't know if y'all can see the poster up there, but it says "Be kind," and
Oh,
you
that's
just
nice.
saying that just it means a lot to me. And so I appreciate your honesty for that answer, and I can just tell that those are true things that you irradiate in your life, that you try to follow those things at all times. So I love you saying that and giving that advice and that legacy. Peace out. Coach, I want to say thank you for giving me a little bit of your time. I know you're in the season, and I know you got a lot going on. I'm glad we could sit down and talk. And it just means so much to me, and I'm so grateful to be able to have you on and speak and listen and learn from you, and even laugh from you as well. So thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you for having me.
For sure. If you don't mind, would you be willing to give out your social medias so people can follow you, reach out if they want to?
Sure. Hold on. Let me look because I don't even remember.
And of course, well, I always put it out as well, but I
So,
always like them to say it.
no, that's no problem. My Instagram is Jalen X Powell. And then my Twitter, hold on. I don't even know what that is. That's terrible. Oh, my Twitter is Jalen Powell with three L's. There you go.
For sure. Make sure you follow her, guys. Coach,
Thank you so much for having me. I hope that this was good for you.
Coach, I want to say this, and I know we're getting close, but man, I love what I do. And I'm just a kid, and but I've been able to do this for 3 years, and I've met some incredible people, but I've never heard such strong advice and wisdom from anyone, and I mean from anyone,
Thank you.
other than tonight, and that means so much to me, and I hope that whoever's watching this, listen to this, they take it and use it as much as I'm about to, because I'm going to use those quotes a lot. I'm not going to lie.
Awesome.
So
I'm
you
glad.
have
It makes me
you,
happy.
you've meant everything so far, and you're going to continue meaning so much. Do you want to give any shout outs to anyone?
Just my team. I love my team. I love my kids.
For sure. And we wish the best of luck to you and your staff and your girls for the rest of the season. We're going to be watching, we're going to be tuning in, so we wish the best for you guys.
Thank you.
For sure. Thank you guys for tuning in, man. Wow, we're done. We are finished with season 3. I told my mom this, that when I first started, I didn't even think I was going to be completed with the season 1, and now we've got
And
3.
look at you. You're complete. You're taking steps in the process. Look
That's
at
right.
you.
That's right. We've got 3 seasons done, man. And I said earlier, you guys are going to hear from me soon. I got some news coming out. So just stay tuned. But man, thank you so much. Everyone that supports me, my family, loved ones, people that help within edits and just advertisements with the show. Thank you so much. You guys have come to me with open arms and helped me love what I do. And man, I can't thank you so much enough. I'm just a kid and I'm just living out my dream already. So thank you guys. As always, until next time. Thank you, Coach, so much. And
Thank you.
I'll see you guys. This isn't goodbye. See you later. I'll see you in a couple months. All right. Love. God bless you all. Thank you.